I think the most unintelligent thing that you can say on the conversation of homelessness is that they should just get a job. Did you know 40 to 60% of people experiencing homelessness in America already have one? Crazy concept. Employment doesn't equal housing. Sometimes income is just not enough income. The National Low Income Housing Coalition says there's no state, no metro area, no county in America where a full-time minimum wage worker can afford a 2-bedroom, statistically, at like a fair market rent. And in 2025, a full-time worker needed almost $29 an hour to afford a 1-bedroom rental home nationally. So when someone who's working 40 hours a week still can't afford basic apartments, maybe homelessness isn't about getting a job. And I mean, if we think about this toxic landlord-tenant culture, think about what it costs to move into an apartment, right? First month's rent, sometimes last month's rent, security deposit, application fees, there's credit checks, income requirements, deposits for your utilities. If you're already living paycheck to paycheck, where are you supposed to come up with thousands of dollars overnight? That's the trick to the system. They never want you to stop renting. And then people are like, oh, well don't rent, just go buy a house instead. That's becoming harder too. Housing is increasingly becoming an investment instead of just a place to live. People are buying houses to rent them. The Joint Center for Housing Studies of Harvard University said investors purchased nearly 31% of all single-family homes sold in the first quarter of 2025. That's almost 1 in 3 houses being purchased by investors instead of families looking for somewhere to live. That is insane. So whether it's large corporations buying neighborhoods or individual private landlords owning multiple properties, more homes are being purchased as rental investments instead of owner-occupied homes. Every house that is turned into a rental is one less opportunity for someone to become a homeowner. And that's the trick. Years of paying rent makes it harder to save for a down payment. We live in a society where landlords can own 10 houses, but the people working full-time inside those same communities can't afford one. And that's the main critique of capitalism. Renting is supposed to be temporary. Supposed to be. But when rent is eating your paycheck, you never save enough to escape it. Owning a home has actually been one of the main ways families build wealth in America. But when you own a home, the money that you are spending every month can turn into something you actually own. But when you're renting forever, your money is only building your landlord's wealth instead of yours. And honestly, we can just look back in history and it proves my point. We know that withholding home ownership affects people's poverty levels. Black families, for decades, they were legally and financially shut out of buying homes in certain neighborhoods. Redlining was when banks and governments marked black neighborhoods as risky, which made it impossible for black families to get home loans. So black families weren't just denied houses, they were essentially just denied the chance to build any wealth or pass property down to their kids, escape poverty. That's the reason, one of the reasons, that racial wealth gap still exists today. Today's housing crisis is not the same thing as redlining, but the lesson's absolutely the same. When people are locked out of home ownership, they're locked out of one of the biggest ways that families build stability and wealth and get out of poverty in this country. On top of that, if you didn't know, cities have zoning laws that make it illegal or difficult to build the kind of housing that's actually affordable. So there's restrictions on like building duplexes, triplexes, courtyard apartments, like higher density housing. So on top of all of this, when you're limiting the amount of housing that can be built while the demand keeps growing and homelessness is increasing, the prices are going up. And I think also our distortion, like our distorted image of homelessness is part of the problem. When people hear the word homelessness, they picture someone sitting on a sidewalk asking for change. Nobody's picturing the woman who's sleeping in her car before heading to work, or the guy who has to shower at Planet Fitness before his shift, right? Nobody's thinking about the families that are rotating between all of their relatives' different couches so that they can clock in every single morning and have someone to watch the kids. So the next time someone says, well, why don't homeless people get a job? 40 to 60% of them already do. The problem's not unemployment. Sometimes it's that having a job is no longer enough to guarantee a place to live. The system isn't broken, it's working exactly as it's supposed to, and it's not working for us. Okay?